Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Hello, and welcome to Twin Bill, aka Twin Bill Razzie Mania. Although we have a update to discuss on that subtitle in a bit. Jason Luna, accompanied as always by Marcus Luna. How are you doing this week, Marcus? Did you watch anything?
Doing pretty good. I watched had a very blue movie week because I finished Blue Moon. Very good biopic about Lorenz Hart by Linklater, and very
Mhm.
Linklater-esque. It was just in one setting the whole movie. Uh, and then tying to our Razzie watching, I I initially wasn't gonna watch this, but Kate Hudson got a Best Actress nom for it, so I watched the based on a true story Neil Diamond cover band acts movie Song Sung Blue. Two movies nominated for Oscars this year, but both blue in the title.
So was that movie? That movie seems it's not the most exciting premise to me that there was this Neil Diamond cover act that was somewhat popular in the Midwest. It was
They come from very poor, uh, and they're yeah. So and they're cover acts for a living, and I guess it actually happened that they got some level of fame by doing Neil Diamond songs.
Yep. Did you like
Things
it?
happen, and there's some drama. It's actually a pretty good movie.
So two questions. One, how I guess good of a Neil Diamond singer is Hugh Jackman, and B, did you enjoy it more overall than Neil Diamond's the jazz singer?
Hugh Jackman's technically a great singer, I would say. He has a lot of Broadway experience, sings all the time. Greatest Showman, Les Mis,
Mhm.
other film examples. Then he's done Broadway and stuff too. Maybe just too much of him I've seen. So I've seen all of those. There's just I don't know. The way he sings kind of annoys me, but he's got good pitch, and I think Kate Hudson sung well too. Um, and it's much more enjoyable than the jazz singer. They
How does a duo doing a singer-songwriter's songs work? Is she just like music
just sort of
instrument?
like oh sorry, it's just like it's sort of arranged differently.
Uh,
So Hugh Jackman does most of the singing, and then it's a full band behind him, and Kate Hudson plays keyboards and does backup singing. Although she kind of does co-lead to, in fact, the name of their act is Lightning and Thunder, and Hugh Jackman is Lightning, and Kate Hudson is Thunder.
I don't like that name either. It sounds vaguely Native American to me, but
It's based on a true story, so that was their actual name. They're real people.
yeah, I've seen it. Hugh Jackman's a lot fatter in real life. That happens a lot in movies.
Yes, they're both fatter and uglier in real life.
Yeah. So I watched something, and it's not that interesting of a story, but the backstory is kind of complicated because and I reference multiple movies I did not watch this week to get the movie I did watch. Are you familiar with the movie called Heavy Metal?
I am very aware of it. I actually haven't seen much clips or anything.
Because it's
I
got
do want to see it at some
boobs
point
in it.
because
Yeah,
animated anthologies sounds like something I enjoy in general. And then
yes.
it has
So
a good as people I like in the voice casting, voice cast.
so I watched the movie much earlier than this movie, but I'm getting there. But yes, Heavy Metal. I recommend to everyone. It's a weird sci-fi, very sexual animated film of a very very cleverly done, based on a British comic book. Anyway, I haven't watched it yet, but there's a kind of like what movie did we talk about? That was like this. Anyway, it's a sequel where Creepshow 3, because another company bought the rights to the movie name Heavy Metal and made a movie called Heavy Metal 2000, which I did not watch yet. It's a cartoon, but
Mhm.
um the character looks like her too. The voice is Julie Strain, who is to put it as gently as I can, uh, a softcore actress. She's not terrible at line reading, but that's kind of what her job is. She takes off her clothes. Anyway, so I saw a movie on Tubi. It's called Battle Queen 2020, and it looked just like the poster for Heavy Metal 2000, and also has Julie Strain in it. So I thought, oh, maybe there's a connection there. Like this is a sequel or another heavy metal movie. But no. Although maybe there's a connection in terms of like, let's do a movie like this other movie that's popular, but it's live action, but set in the post apocalypse. And there's not much of a plot, but in the apocalypse, the world froze over, and Julie Strain and other female characters survive by basically working in a harem
Nice.
for the president of post-apocalyptic Earth. And oh yeah, you, I'm not going to get too into the nuances of nudie films, but there's a lot of it, and then the movie ends.
Keeping it highbrow when you're film watching.
Well, the premise is oddly highbrow, but then yeah, the cinematography is not focused on science fiction. I guess there you go. Battle Queen 2020. Do not recommend unless you really want to see admittedly attractive women disrobed. Yes, that's kind of what life on Tubi is like. Yeah. All right, what a transition. How about in Battle Queen 2020 there was some rooms with windows in them. Oh snap! Crackle pop. That's right. This week we're talking about Windows, the 1980 movie that barely. I don't think anyone. I didn't. Obviously, we didn't know what it was when I found it, and I never heard anything about it before. And I secretly love, not even secretly, but for Razzie movie, the twist is I loved it. So we'll get into it. So let's get into it. Uh, so Windows was directed by Gordon Willis. It's the only movie he ever directed. He also did the cinematography for this movie. Uh, Marcus, can you name the three directors that Gordon Willis did at least six movies for in his career, cinematography wise?
18 total, at least.
Yes, way more if you count one of them.
Well, okay, this isn't the most like best trivia question because you talked about it a little bit at the end of last episode.
It's basically there's one hard answer and two easy ones, but go ahead.
I did a bazillion Woody Allen films.
That's one, like 30, I think, or something like that, crazy like that. Yeah.
I mean, Coppola because he did the Godfather trilogy.
Yeah, I don't know what the other three were. I think it was around the same time. Might have been Conversation and stuff like that, but I don't know. But and then the much more obscure one. I give you a hint in a second.
Uh, just kill this because great podcasting. Uh, Martin Scorsese. No, that's not right.
A fair guess. Do you have any idea who directed All the President's Men?
It's leader of the Pacula.
There you go, Dracula joke, but yes, Alan Pakula. Yes. I don't know what those six movies are either, obviously, but yeah.
We
Uh,
only kill all the president's men at night.
so this movie came out in 1980, the exact same year. Busy guy, but Gordon Willis shot Stardust Memories, which is by far my favorite Woody Allen movie, and also had it's in black and
Really?
white and has very transformative sequences in it. Very well done cinematography. Yeah, yeah, recommend. So I figured since I don't have a section in my format about cinematography, and this kind of the start of the show is Gordon Willis showing off for this movie. I want to talk about some of my favorite cinematography shots in the movie. Did you have one in mind when I say that?
There's good fading with It's like fade-ins. I don't know if that's the right term with Brooklyn Bridge. Um,
Well, yeah, that's the best shot in the movie, and they put in the preview too, where I think Emily is looking out the window of her new apartment at the Brooklyn Bridge, and then he imposes the picture of the Brooklyn Bridge on top of her, and then he imposes that on like the reverse of the same thing. It's like a dancing Brooklyn Bridge thing. I'm doing it no justice in my description, but that's an amazing shot. And then I wanted to mention I guess, yeah, whatever. The opening shot, which we'll describe in more plot detail in a second, but how it was like a dark tunnel, and there was like colored lights at the top of the frame, and characters talking in the foreground. It's like freaking Citizen Kane shot. It was amazing. Like, yeah, yeah,
it's just well lit throughout, I think. The telescope looking at Emily's new apartment.
yep. And then the last shot, which we'll also talk about in the plot version, but the I guess it's not it's not the trickiest cinematography, but just to get the full Brooklyn Bridge in like the morning light, very very pretty shot. All right. Uh, this movie was written by a man named Barry Siegel. No relation, I think to Siegel and Schuster, Superman fame. But uh,
There's multiple people in pop culture named Siegel. I don't. We don't need to go through all of them.
yeah, Bugsy Siegel. Okay, I'll stop. All right.
The guy named Don Siegel. I don't
Something in film with Don Siegel. Okay, go off the rails, but yeah, it was Siegel that destroyed the podcast. Uh,
I saw a Siegel at the beach the other day.
yeah,
Wait, wait. I'm
Lou
waiting myself, by the way.
Lou Siegel, the mascot for the San Francisco Giants.
You said we were going off the rails. I mean, it's my fault too. We got like three jokes after
They
that.
know the train is just grinding up asphalt. Anyway, all I want to say about Barry Siegel is this is his only screenplay ever, and he later, or I think at the time actually, he won a Pulitzer for writing feature columns. And then, ultra fun fact for us, much later in life, I think it was right around the time we enrolled, he became the undergraduate chair of literary journalism at UC Irvine.
I behind the curtain into our personal lives here because we went to UC Irvine. That's why Jason said it like that. By the way,
Yeah,
if you didn't know, I actually thought about becoming a literary journalism major at one point.
you could have worked with Barry Siegel and asked about Windows. What's Talia Shire really like?
I, if I did that, I think I more likely asked him about my Windows 11 update or Windows XP update or whatever instead. But
Okay. And then a much less fun anecdote. His only other credit ever that I could find was he was a consultant, which is weird for this in Hollywood, but on a TV movie called The Child Lost Forever. And
he
Beverly
was trying to
D'Angelo.
find the child. That was what he was consulting on.
Okay, well, when I tell you the story, the plot's not as funny as a joke, but because Beverly D'Angelo had a baby and she gave it up for adoption, and then she's later investigating a possibility that the adoptive mother murdered the child. All
Yikes! That would be lost forever.
right. Yeah. Why'd you say? Why'd you say it like that? Just
I
announce
don't
her
know. In my
voice.
head, it would be like profound, like
Lost forever. This fall on Fox.
kind of like David Crusoe taking off his sunglasses and
Uh,
painting, looking to the camera. That would make that baby lost forever. Wait, wait,
I
wait.
guess that baby doesn't need his bottle. Dun, dun. Yeah. All right, the producer is a man named Mike Lobel. His only other producing credit before this movie was a Tim Matheson, Jack Warden sports drama called Dreamer for $1 million. Can you name the sport that Tim Matheson plays in Dreamer?
It's not right, but it was the dream team, so basketball.
Pro bowling.
Nice.
And then,
Dramatic kingpin.
fun fact: Mike Lobel has a streak of producing horribly unsuccessful movies. He produced a forgotten, failed Nicolas Cage rom-com called It Could Happen to You. But the bigger one that will come up on this podcast if we make it that long, he produced freaking Striptease, one of the most maligned movies ever made.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So he had some staying power, I guess, because it's
And
15 years from this movie.
yeah, and then a decade later, he produced backstage drama. What's that show called? Podcast. The
Podcast.
two, the man and the woman talk about movies that had troubled productions.
Oh, what went wrong?
Yeah, because Bruce Willis was a jerk, and the movie tanked. That's called Tears of the Sun. He produced that too.
Don't remember that.
It's like a Middle East action movie or something. I never saw it,
What
obviously. But
episode was it?
no, no, I'm just saying it's the type of movie they would cover.
Oh,
Actual troubled production. Yes, yes.
I misunderstood what you were saying. Moving along.
Back to the video. It's not a video. All right. Technically, it's a video. Damn it. All right. Uh, music by as we talked about briefly last week, Ennio Morricone. His reputation speaks for itself, so I'll just say it in detail now. He did a lot of spaghetti westerns, did The
Yeah.
Untouchables, The Hateful Eight when he was like 80 years old or something like that. And he did way too many movies to keep track of in terms of like the Windows timeline or whatever. But he did score one movie in 1980 that also was nominated for Razzies, which we'll get to later. And then also in 1978, he did the score for La Cage aux Folles, the French precursor to The Birdcage. I did not know that.
You did the thing a few years after this.
Yep. And speaking of horror movies, call back to last week's Saturn 3 episode. He did the score for The Chosen, the much better sounding Kirk Douglas movie that we didn't watch. Let's get to the cast. Pretty brief for a cast list. But yeah, Talia Shire as Emily, who is a recently divorced, scared stutterer lady, as I put in my notes.
Scared
Uh,
stutterer cat lady. Well, she only has one cat, so I guess not.
yeah.
You're your cat lady if you have one cat. How many cats does it take to make a cat lady?
So I think some cat ladies are cats because there's something in their brain that is heading towards cat lady. But you're not a announced cat lady until you have like what's the number? I think two, but probably more like four cats. I don't know. It's too far. Two cats is a lot. But anyway, so obviously Talia Shire is best known for the 1-2 punch of the Godfather movies and the Rocky movies. And this movie came out right after she was in a coma for roughly 60% of Rocky 2.
I don't know if I've seen that movie all the way through. There's plenty of details I
You don't remember me in a
forgotten from
coma?
those movies.
Yeah, you probably need to watch it again then. But I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Good movie too. But anyway, then we have Joseph. I don't know how you say it. Is it Joseph Cortez or Joseph Cortezi? Cortez Cortese.
I don't know. I have to dig for
No, just take your guess.
I mean, Dan Cortez with a Z, so let's just say it's different. So Cortezi, maybe it's
Like
Cortez.
Scorsese, I guess. Yeah. Plays Bob, the cop who starts dating Emily after helping her with her case of SA. I don't know. You're not supposed to say the R word or the SA words on YouTube, but I don't
It's
know.
unclear if she actually gets raped to me.
Right. But she is SA'd.
Yes, definitely, but I don't think there's a.
No. Well, right. But it is left ambiguous though. But yeah. So you could argue either way.
I think he just undresses her, but whatever. Moving along.
Well, that kind of goes into the plot twist, which we're going to talk about anyway. But the that her friend was hiring him to help her fantasies, not to help his fantasies, so to speak. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, Joseph. We'll talk about how I just like all the acting in this movie, but he was also did a good job. I couldn't really find a lot of other like lead actor famous movies he was in, but he worked as a character actor before Windows, and he's still to this day does character actor work. And most famously, arguably in his whole career, it's basically a cameo, but he's in like the first scene of Green Book. Plays a
Yeah, I saw his character name in Green Book. I did not remember it.
he's a mafioso who works in the place that they leave or whatever, or the club or something. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, his character name is Gio Scudo, so it's like I can imagine him saying Gabagool, give me my money.
Right, but you could also expect him to have a bigger role in the movie, but he didn't. Yeah, yeah,
That's a spicy meatball.
yeah. God, that's my favorite moment in The Godfather, and so it's like meatball too spicy.
Give a meatball a camera feels.
And then much more relatively more well known than Joseph Cortese. Elizabeth Ashley is Andrea, Elizabeth Emily's best friend, who is secretly stalking her and doing much worse things, in part because she fetishizes being with Emily. She won a Tony for being in a play called Take Her, She's Mine, which became a movie that she was not in. The plot of Take Her, She's Mine is that very dated concept. This girl's in college in Paris, and her American father is like, "Oh, I think she's becoming a beatnik." So he flies to Paris to stop this beatnickery. And then she was nominated for a Golden Globe in the 60s. She was in you ever heard of a movie called The Carpetbaggers?
I know it's the term for a Civil War thing, but
That's not what the movie's actually about. I guess it's sort of I'm sure it's some kind of metaphor that's addressed in the movie, but it's like a interfamily uh drama that became famous because they made it like intentionally sexual and naked in the early 60s.
you know,
You know, and just like Joseph Cortese, she didn't have a lot of like big lead roles to pull from on my research, but she is a primary cast member on Russian Doll, which may have just ended, but
no,
still a big
I saw
show.
season one. I really liked it. I didn't get around to season two.
Well, she's in there, much older, obviously. But, yeah.
Really like Natasha Lyonne. But moving on.
Yes. All right,
This
let's
is
talk
about
about.
this is about you, Natasha.
Hey, do spot on the podcast, Natasha Leone. All right, so let's talk about let's talk a little deeper on the stuff in movies. Let's talk about the concept. We're adding a new segment on top, so let's get out of the way. Uh, Thoughts about the title? I wrote already that the title is really vague. It's difficult to look up when you type Windows into Google and stuff, and it's not the most evocative title.
Well, kind of means not as someone walking, seeing the poster before you see the movie, you're like, what? You kind of be like, what the fuck was this about? But after watching it, I think it's you're kind of exposed when you're by a window. Um,
Yeah,
and obviously, in throughout the movie, that uh, Andrea used a telescope to see Emily through a window. But I also think you have to ask Barry Siegel or Gordon Willis to confirm this, and Gordon Willis is dead. I think Barry Siegel is still alive, but I think it's kind of a tribute to Rear Window.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, and it's a I guess an intentional inversion. Although I guess it's in some ways it's not. In some ways it is. But anyway,
Well, in terms of the villain spying versus the hero spying.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And there's no. It's not like Rear Window where the guy's killing the girl on the camera or on telescope. It's all behind the telescope or off telescope, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, yeah. I felt the title coming a little stronger, and I think honestly, a more honest title would have been something about like stalking or
Yeah,
secrets or something. But I mean, it's a suspense film, so you're not supposed to know. But they kind of telegraph it pretty early. So I don't know. Talk about the plot in a second, but okay, we discussed the title enough. Um, I was not a big fan of most of the ad campaign, honestly. Talk a little bit about the poster because behind me is the German. I found a German rip of the poster, which does a lot better job of like drawing the lines of the shadows. And the poster on Wikipedia, it's all blotchy and like this doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's actually hard to see it's a knife even in the
Yeah, so I think they could have done a lot better job with just showing an actor's face. Jeez. But uh, and then to the talk about the trailer first. Yeah. The trailer I sent you, which is apparently the official one, um, was really disappointing because I liked watching the movie, but they really focused in on that one scene where the the
oh,
guy
the guy comes back and he sticks his hand through the door.
she shoves the and they show every time she shoves it in the trailer, and it's like it got a little like monotonous and awkward.
Although if you watch that and then watch the movie, you'd be surprised that he actually fully breaks in before that.
Yeah, no, and it played better in the movie too. I don't know. It's just I guess it was I don't know if it's just because it was truncated or what, but the whole her slamming the door, it just played off better. I don't know
Maybe the actual action is better in the movie too, but I think it works better that they're actually talking for a while in that scene, and then that happens. So I think it works better.
because it does convey a certain uh maniacal whatever you're going at because you know craziness of Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Andrea. So yeah, I like the okay. I like the scene trailer. Me, and then the what happened to the oh yeah, someone loves Emily too much. Let's see a little.
Much too much.
It's like it's technically correct as a tagline. It just didn't work for me. I don't know
And then you're supposed to see it's a knife, I guess. So then you know you're going into a thriller, suspense, horror movie or whatever. But yeah, just that alone, it could be a comedy because you kind of stalker comedies that are lighthearted, I guess. I don't
yeah,
know.
if there's a Woody Allen comedy called Windows, then yeah, it would read similar.
Ah, jeez, I just see this pretty girl in a window all the time. How can I stop looking at her?
I mean, even Rear Window, it's mostly dramatic, but there's that part where he first gets the telescope and he's like staring at that co-ed or whatever dancing in her underwear. Yeah. So, yeah. Speaking of alternate interpretations of Windows, trivia break. So, yeah, sometimes I did the effort look up questions about Windows, and sometimes I use the word Windows as openings to a stretched out effect. Anyway, first question: what game may open with a Rui Lopez?
Chess?
Yes, it's one of the pretentiously named opening moves in chess.
Rui Lopez?
Rui Lopez, yes.
I was thinking RUI because Rui Hachimura. Basketball.
Basketball Dreams with Jack Warden. Anyway, and the next question: what song plays over the opening of The Lion King?
Circle of Life.
Yes. All right, let's talk about the characters in this movie. And I thought I liked all of them. Say Emily, she's naturally shy, but the movie shows her trying to be confident, more assertive. My favorite character, Bob, he does a good job of mixing the proceduralness of being a cop with trying to be more compassionate with the people he helps, and very natural his romance with Emily. And I thought Andrea, despite we'll get into common critical opinion of this movie, I thought they did a good job of conveying what it actually feels like to have severe like mental psychosis that you're not treating properly. So I thought all the characters were very strong.
Yep. Uh, I think that they worked well in this movie to have very little to no supporting characters behind the big three. I thought the scenes was honestly a little bit that they do without them. I think the psychologist is fine, or psychiatrist, I guess.
Hmm.
I actually think his presence is really good, actually. I actually like those scenes a lot with him and Andrea. But I don't, the scenes with the old couple next door were weird.
Yeah, I think it was trying to convey the opportunity she has in the new apartment as opposed to slumming it in the old apartment with Andrea. But I actually did bother me, but could have been done a little less clumsily, I guess.
They weren't horrible. She actually seemed like a kind of cool person, and the husband is just nothing. But
Plus, the thing is, it's kind of realistic because, like, God, I don't know any of my neighbors where I live, and it's like the conversation is so awkward and clumsy, and people are so defensive and stuff. So it's just stuff like that happens. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Talk about the dialogue. I loved it. I liked a lot of this dialogue. I liked it a lot, but I'll give a couple examples of things I liked. My favorite scene in the movie is when Bob is talking to Emily when she's reporting the crime, and Bob's trying to like get her to give evidence about the crime, but he kind of can tell that she's sort of like scared and doesn't want to talk to him. So he's trying to be nice while giving this like pretty boilerplate police speech. So I thought it was very effective, emotional contrast or whatever. And then, kind of like we were saying, the last big scene he has in the psychiatrist has in the office with Andrea, where he's like she's outlining that Emily wants to be with me, but she doesn't know it and stuff. So you can see the psychiatrist, he knows that she's like too far gone, but he's like holding back. You get a lot of like subtext, and I feel like yeah, I like that aspect of the dialogue in this movie. It didn't feel like it was forcing it, but it told a lot.
yeah, felt really real the way Cortese would be a detective in a situation where someone gets assaulted. Sensitive, but trying to get information out of her because we want to catch the person so no one else gets attacked. Uh, I was a little worried at the beginning because we'll get into the end with how people view this movie critically, but the lesbianism got a lot of hate for this movie. I was more worried about the stuttering, um, but I think the movie did a good job of showing she was a stutterer with like the vocal exercises and stuff, and only a little bit of her stuttering, and didn't feel overbearing. And I think that was well written because Andrea was hoping, or spoil the plot, that Andrea hired the rapist to her goal was to scare Emily to her basically. Um, but she didn't anticipate that Emily and Bob would fall in love with each other. Uh,
Right.
so I thought that was a clever plot device.
Yeah. Speaking of how we'll get into the plot and spoilers and stuff, the only issue I have with the dialogue, which we'll get into, is that the plot sort of lets down a lot of the good emotional stuff and character stuff because they just don't have enough. Just I don't know, enough stuff going on, especially at the end. So I felt like the dialogue sort of faltered when it came to like the stuff I usually complain about. It's like usually there's too much plot dialogue, but it felt like the opposite, where there was like they're trying to make it work, and yeah. But we'll get into the plot now. So when I said it makes a little more sense. Uh, so yeah, the opening image of the movie, I talked about it before. Uh, Emily and her now ex-husband who still work together, in the colorful tunnel place. Where does she work? Is it like Coney Island or something?
It's a children. It's like I think it's a children's museum.
Oh,
They say there's not a lot of reference to it. She's there at the beginning and then she leaves and she never comes back to work there. Mostly him calling her saying, "Why don't you come back to work?" And then she doesn't want to tell him that she got attacked.
and she asked for a car service, and she might have got it once, but she couldn't get it again or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, the protagonist, very clear, good screenwriting. Siegel, because Emily is protagonist, and she's learning to be more independent and overcome her stutter. And the other two characters have very clear but distinct relationships with Emily. So protagonist.
Yeah.
The Ordinary World, just on a technical thing, like not that it matters, but could have been a little clearer about where she worked and her apartment and stuff. Because in screenplay structure, she kind of seemed like okay with where she was until she got sec- sexually assaulted. So, but yeah, she's basically a timid girl lives in an apartment. But the movie could have done a better job of building that out as like why she needs to leave that place other than because of that guy. But yeah.
I suppose. I think I think we both ultimately like this movie, but kind of a tight 94 minutes, and I don't think it would have held up as well if it was close to 2 hours or longer. And that's the type of you start padding in more of her life at the museum, more of a relationship with because she knows people around town. Like she's she gets food from that deli place. She picks up groceries, and she knows the guy works there, and they could have they could have built that out more, but I think the movie works better just getting straight to the sexual assault and the aftermath.
Yeah, I guess that's fair because that gets into the other part is like what does the audience know or whatever about what does she need to do to improve her life or get out of the situation she's in, and it ends up being she needs to have like uh a true friend slash love because she's sort of like, well, you learn this, I feel like you feel it more in hindsight than you do at the time, but she's not doing great in this like rickety apartment with Andrea hovering around and stuff. And then she's much happier in the building by the bridge and with Bob. But the beginning of the movie doesn't really like explicitly say that. But I guess that's the closest thing to like what she needs to like get better in life, other than to stop being sexually assaulted by big fat men.
Yeah, you kind of have to piece it together that she's a lonely stutterer going through a divorce after the fact.
It's time for another trivia break.
Wait, wait, break.
So, what window related event in 1618 is often considered to have started the 30 Years' War?
Oh, the defenestration of Prague.
Yes. I think there's technically, there might have been different locations, but anyway, there's a series of defenestrations in a time period that are often linked together. Yeah. And then time for a really dumb bonus trivia question type thing. Sing slash hum the song opening. I'm looking for the instrumental thing. Smoke on the water. Go.
Well, real opening is
Guitar. Yeah. Frank Zappa and the Mothers. Yes. Uh, so that's very clear question, but what movie event changes the protagonist's life and sucks in the story? Emily is randomly sexually assaulted by a fat guy who broke into her apartment and recorded it. And This allows her to meet Bob, and Andrea attempts to use it as a reason to become Emily's guardian figure. But what also ends up happening is Emily moves into her apartment building, her new apartment building. So plot all in one.
Yep.
So it's the trickiest question. Everything that's not a buddy cop comedy, but what is the fun and games of this movie that goes in the middle? And I guess it's just the the movie tells you pretty quickly that Andrea is the bad guys slash the one manipulating things when she because she listens to the sexual assault on cassette in her car or whatever. And it's
It
like,
did took me a little while to get there because I thought he was recording it for his own use. And I didn't, I guess it's revealed because she's like smoking a cigarette in the cab. Uh, I was like, why is she in that cab? And then, oh, whatever, and then move on. And then they eventually make it more explicit. I don't remember the exact reveal.
yeah, that is a weird thing because they reveal a lot of stuff in the middle end part, and then that sort of becomes what the movie's about. So in hindsight, the movie's about Andrea hiring the guy. But I guess that's true that it's sort of for a while it's like a super like slice of real life kind of scary, sexual assault survival story. Yeah, I don't know. So it is interesting, but I guess yeah, if you take the whole movie as a whole, because Fun and Games is in the middle, which can extend all the way to like three-quarters of the movie ish. I think it is sort of like something's off with Andrea and Emily, and is Emily going to figure out what's going on? I think that's sort of the overall appeal of the movie in hindsight. But can Bob save the day? Because he kind of
Yeah.
does for a while. Well, yeah, because it's a thriller, so I guess the Fun and Games really is just thrills in general. Like another good scene in the movie we didn't talk about at all yet is she gets in a cab and she knows the cab driver is the guy. So she calls the cops while she's in the cab and gets back in the cab, and it's like
Yeah.
super intense. And yeah. So that's kind of like the appeal of the movie is like, what's gonna happen? Is Emily really gonna die? Like, yeesh.
Yeah, it's truly a thriller in that sense.
Yeah. But it's not a clear cut Fun and Games because it's not a like I said, it's not. I think comedy is the only one where you have like the Ghostbusters are solving cases or something. Like what would the Fun and Games be of like Titanic or something? I
I
guess
don't
it's
know.
like romance or something, but I don't know. Like it's also kind of sad and dark too. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, with that, the boat's gonna sink, and so it's like, when are they gonna get to the sinking? And then
They get to it, and then
they're all gonna die. Are some people gonna live? I guess. No,
okay. Yeah, I know I brought up another movie with a different plot structure, but yeah. It's just my general point is that dramas are weird for fun and games. But yes. So what obstacle comes in and takes the joy away from the protagonist? This is my biggest issue with the movie from a plot analyst thing, because the obstacle that ends up taking things away is Andrea at the very end, like lures Emily to come over to her apartment and kind of kidnaps Emily. But
right.
but before that happens, which is almost the end of the movie, she meets Bob. They fall in love. They have this romance. She's already in the nice apartment building. It's like the movie's giving her so much, and then we're kind of like, oh, the scary stuff's still there. It's kind of like I think there's an imbalance there with the plot structure.
It all revolves around the dead cat.
It was a great image, and by the and great plot twist and image, by the way. Yes.
Yes, killing a cat and stuffing in the freezer was not what I was expecting. But she got lucky because how could she, I guess I guess because Emily lives there alone, that it's likely that Emily would find the cat while being alone. So that Emily would call Andrea and say, I need to be with you right now. I can't be alone. Something terrible happened, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, I'll give you the address of my creepy apartment that I'm telescope watching you in.
Well, the other weird thing about the cat, it's not a plot hole per se, but don't think about a movie. Don't think about movie logic too much because she tells Bob about the cat missing, and since Bob is the nicest guy in the world, he like leads a mini manhunt for the cat and like starts calling people and stuff. So you think he would have found the cat?
He did find the cat at some point.
Oh, that was after he found the cat. Oh, wait. You're
He,
right. It was in a. It was yeah. Okay, never mind. Different.
she might have pulled the cat out of the freezer and he walked into the apartment and said, Jesus Christ. Um, and then he couldn't, and because he kind of, I think he jimmies the door to get in because Emily's not answering. And then he starts his manhunt. But I'm just say this now. At one, I don't know. Maybe the dialogue got too generic or something. But when Bob's trying to figure out where Emily is, he says to he has like a partner guy who's helping him or something, and
Mm-hmm.
he tells him, "Look at people about telescopes." And he's like, "How did he know about the telescope?"
Because the I guess he figured it was a high rise window thing, but yeah, it was a little that was definitely convoluted. And the fact that they found it, I hate it when movies do that, but I mean, well, depends on the movie, but yeah, it was a little contrived. And I agree, it didn't ruin the movie for me overall, but it did. The suspense act part was a lot more clumsier than the emotional talky parts. I feel like that was the strength of both the writer and Gordon Willis was like, you know, working with actors and being specific. The action stuff was just clumsy, in my opinion.
I agree. It's kind of a great, well, great's too strong. Whatever. It's a good movie. I mean, compared to the Razzies, it's Gone with the Wind or Lawrence of Arabia, um, it doesn't ruin the movie. But the end is like weird.
Yeah. So speaking of which, because we're already sort of hedging our bets, like what's taking away the joy from the protagonist? What motivating incident happens that allows the protagonist to find the strength to overcome what they're in? And the movie sort of just like sidesteps it a little because it's like she was already getting more confident and stronger because she's in a better building. She met Bob, and then the way she overcomes Andrea is just sort of by overcoming Andrea. Like, you can't kill me, you can't kill me, and then Andrea has a mental breakdown. The movie ends. So it's like there wasn't like a big thought process in Emily's head. Like the strength, the inner resolve was in me all along. She was kind of fine.
Yeah, I guess because she's found Bob and her life's improving. She has the strength to, because she even mimics the attack at the beginning of the movie by the cab driver with putting the knife, which is in the poster,
Mm-hmm.
knife on her throat and saying, "Oh, they're they're gonna do a pratfall or something." More comedies need physical comedy. Podcasts need physical comedy.
Let recreation
Uh,
movie windows. The banana peel on the stairs.
Knife on the throat and saying "say ah" like in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, I knew he did the noises thing. I forgot it was that, but that makes sense. But yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's the building of strength to stand up to a situation that she's, I guess, developed through the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but it's too much of a guess, though. I think it's just really sloppy. I don't.
Well, we talked about this off screen a little, but I thought it made sense. What was she saying, Andrea? she keeps saying some phrase when they fade out, and the implication is that she's fully lost her mind and she's in a mental hospital. Movie ends. What is she saying when it fades out?
Well, she's moaning and wheezing, going, please, please. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was very. I thought it was realistic for the mental illness thing, but it was a little whatever. But yeah,
so
I don't.
I guess showing the eventual the slow demise of the villain, where she's the strong one and Emily's the weak stutterer, coward,
Yeah,
blah blah blah. But now she's the one. She's reduced to begging before the cops eventually show up to put her in jail.
yeah, and they say Andrea's. They do hint that Andrea's the stronger one because in the beginning she's sort of like talking on Emily's behalf and coming over to her place to help her out and stuff. But yeah, the Emily was equal, if not better, than Andrea for most of the movie because I had that scene where Andrea was breaking down in front of her psychiatrist. That's why she murders a psychiatrist, is because like they agree she has to go to a mental hospital, but then Andrea changes her mind and stabs him, or they don't show it, but he surprises him while holding a knife. But
And I guess that I liked it. It happens in slash movies with that she makes the room dark and then the psychiatrist goes, "Where are you, Andrea?" And then she says, "Oh, I'm right here." And then he turns around and
yeah,
uh, gets stabbed. I thought,
I thought it was good. Like, yeah, it was good. That scene doesn't bother me, but my general point is that they didn't make Andrea like a strong villain, and they made Emily almost too strong of a protagonist because I felt like she was on the path to being normal a lot earlier than the plot would imply. But yeah,
I've never seen this movie, but I think I eventually will because I'm gonna watch. I've seen a lot of El Modovar. I'll probably watch more of them. But it's a movie called "Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown," and that's kind of I feel like this movie that's what Andrea is her descent into madness, and she kind of used Emily as her only possible salvation.
yeah, I think a better movie would have almost made her the protagonist almost, but so that's a different movie entirely. So what's the point? All right, we talked about this enough. It's complicated. It's not horrible, but you could kind of poke holes in the plotting, as we said at length. This is not really a good. It's an okay thriller, much better drama. Yes. So yeah, the how does the protagonist's world in the end compare to the beginning? They make it pretty clear. She's talking to her ex-husband at work in some dark room while stuttering, but then at the end, she's with Bob at her favorite place in the world, the Brooklyn Bridge. So it's like pretty ipso facto, like bad ending, happy ending.
Yep, she gets her man.
What a dream!
She
What a
also,
dream! What a dream about that, Bob. I just want to say it once. Very nice guy.
yep.
And yeah, the closing image, like I just said, it's the walking on the Brooklyn Bridge in the daytime. And well, I just said all this. So yeah, it brilliantly matches the opening image: darkness, light, divorce, marriage, talking, stuttering. It's a very brilliant piece of basic filmmaking. Yeah, yeah. Trivia break. Slipped on
The
my dog.
funniest trivia break ever. Oh,
Yeah, it's hilarious. Sing the song intro. Looking for the instrumental thing. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
well, it's soccer tie-in because
Yeah, yeah. I could have mentioned that, but yes, that's what I thought of.
oh,
Go ahead.
trying to say soccer tie-in because that's Chucky Lozano or whatever. But
No, just the song in soccer in general.
do 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 do, Chucky Lozano.
Incorrect. I'm just kidding. All right, yeah, yeah. Seven Nation Army, put me down. All right, next question. Uh, yeah. Uh, what movie shares its name with a ubiquitous 80s song and is about Matthew Broderick and Meg Ryan spying on their exes through a window and, spoiler alert, falling in love along the way.
Matthew Broderick and Meg Ryan?
Yep, it was not a very successful movie, almost infamously so, but famous 80s song. You have a one in some chance.
Looking at you, I have no idea. You've stumped
Oh,
me.
it's called Addicted to Love
Wow. That's, that's a weird title for.
because they're pathologically obsessed with their exes and spying on them together. Not really pathologically, I guess, more like movie pathologically.
My romantic comedy, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be darker. I never watched it, so I don't know much about it. So I'll briefly talk about how we grade the structure as a whole. I really enjoyed the movie and the character interactions. I thought the plot sort of got a little, as we discussed at length, got a little wobbly at the end. So it's not perfect, but it's still a good movie for like things in it.
Is this the final grading thing or?
No, just for the structure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, just the structure. I agree. It's more about how it feels throughout more than the plot kind of. Uh, Although it's kind of a somewhat conventional plot because someone's doing something bad and you're thinking, are they going to get caught? And then she eventually does.
Yeah.
But it's weird along the way. So ultimately successful, but weird along the way. I don't know.
The only thing I want to add about the structure we didn't really talk about too much is that the movie. I know it's a bait and switch, but the movie establishes the sexual assaulter guy, the big fat guy at the beginning, and there's the taxi thing, and he gets arrested. So it's like he's sort of like the villain, and then it's Andrea, but because he's safely in jail, I feel like the movie had a hard time being like trying to switch that momentum of the scary part at the beginning to the scary part at the end. So I think the SA guy was a better antagonist than Andrea because of the way the movie structured it.
I was expecting, and who knows, the movie would have been better this way because the movie's actually not that bad, but
Yeah,
I was expecting the rapist to disappear after the rape, not be around.
that was a clever thing that to actually make him be a character in the movie. I think they could have done a better job of like, for example, just showing him talking to the cops at the police station or giving him some kind of character, going on trial, etc. But yeah, that's a
I
different
think they
movie.
intentionally thought the whole. Do we ever see his face?
Yeah, the closest is the taxi cab because they have his picture there, but even that's a subterfuge because it's his ID on the cab. But you kind of see his face there. But yeah, yeah. Good point. Although, good point.
He's
Yeah,
not a famous actor. He's a non-linker on
yeah, yeah,
Wikipedia.
yeah. Just, I have mixed feelings about it because it is, in theory, it's a good twist, but it's just, yeah. Well, they could have done more with Andrea kidnapping or something. Wait, yeah. Uh, Pacing of the movie. I watched the movie with no complaints about how long it was or anything. Actually, one of the rare movies I wanted to keep watching when I took breaks and stuff. Uh, like we keep saying, or I keep saying, the end of the movie, I got a little bit like, what's going on? Huh? Like a little confused, but overall, brisk, earns its runtime. Easily one of the best paced Razzie movies we watched on this podcast. So
Yeah, pretty breezy. I do look at the minutes before I start a movie, so I knew it was going to be relatively short. And it felt that way, more or less. The dialogue wasn't very exposition-y really ever at all. Um,
mhm.
so to help the pace move along. And there wasn't a lot of action, but things kept happening. Um, like, well, because you're thrown in with the rape right at the beginning, and then he tries to break into the apartment, and then the cat, and then the telescope. So things keep happening, so it keeps the pace moving along.
Yeah, never, and we've talked about it a lot, but the cinematography very crisp, which definitely helps a lot with the enjoyment and the smoothness of any static imagery or whatever. All right, well, let's talk about marketability, which this podcast is more about. Would you how much you recommend this movie to a friend? This is a weird movie because I feel like I cannot recommend this movie to anyone because it's about an evil lesbian, and that's most of the negative reviews of this movie is like lesbians aren't evil. What are you talking about? But and not to mention that there's a sexual assault in like the first act of the movie, and that could be off-putting for people too. But if you can get past that, and I think you can, America, I trust you. It's got amazing acting, even better cinematography, uh emotionally what's the word, stirs intellectual thought and conversation, especially about like the nature of acting and stuff. So I love this movie, so I recommend it if you can get over the trigger warnings at the top.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, hard movie to recommend because if you got anyone to watch this, they'd probably say, I don't know.
And I do want to say briefly, sorry, you finish, but the I don't consider it, like I said very early, it's not a movie about a lesbian who does bad things. It's a woman struggling with personality, mental health disorders, does bad things. I think that's a big difference that most people did not get at the time. And, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so yes, I kind of reason it'd be hard for me to recommend anyone because, like you're saying, anyone like a lot of my friends are like I am, pro LGBT and stuff, and they might watch this and be like the negative portrayal of lesbians, which a lot of people did, so I wouldn't really blame them. But I struggle with the thought that if someone has a character, if a villain in a movie has a character trait, it's saying that all people with the character trait are villainous, evil people.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
agree.
what it seems like a lot of the criticism of the movie is saying, which doesn't seem fair to me, but
And I think fictional characters should be judged with a different lens than real life. It's the same thing as comparing violence in video games to violence in real life or something like, I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, it's not so bad it's good, and I don't know, it's just we're both saying how much we like this movie, but I think there's better versions of this type of movie too. So it's kind of it's
Hmm.
kind of middling in the grand scheme of movies.
Is there a movie recommend in this vein? I guess we mentioned Rear Window, which is fine.
Most Hitchcock movies are better thrillers. I don't know. Get Out's a better thriller. I don't know. Put me on the spot thinking of movies in a genre, but
You can come back to it, maybe not. Well, trigger break. Okay, it's very convoluted question. So,
my favorite.
1970s British softcore boobs slash comedy film, Confessions of a Window Cleaner, was directed by a man named Val Guest. Val Guest is maybe best known for directing a 1955 science fiction movie about an astronaut turned into a monster by a space fungus, a movie called The Quatermass Blank. What is the blank?
Effect. I don't know.
Experiment. Okay, random song opening. This time it's lyrics. Can you phrase the first? So, in the opening of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, the two questions that the four-part harmony asks.
Is this real life? Is this just fantasy?
Yes, that's it. I know there's more, but that's the questions. Yeah, you got it.
Caught
Kyle,
in a landslide. Escape from reality.
reality. Open your eyes, look up to the sky, and see. And then I guess it's just a regular song.
Doesn't really matter to me.
Nothing really matters anymore. Okay,
Bismillah, no.
we will not let him go. All right, let's talk about the Razzie nominations. Uh, so this movie was nominated for Worst Picture and lost to Can't Stop the Music. These movies are in different time zones. That's a ridiculous nomination in my opinion. But
Yeah, just well, I guess I would never have seen this movie if it was not nominated for a Razzie because it's definitely not Best Picture level either. But
yeah, somewhere in my crazy brain, I would defend it for Academy Awards, but it's probably not. I mean, technically not as good, but yeah. And then Gordon Willis lost Worst Director to Robert Greenwald for Xanadu. Like, what the fuck? But yeah,
either shouldn't have been. Well, Greenwald maybe because it's a mess, but it's an entertaining mess. I looks great in the plot. Yeah, total missed nomination for worst director. Probably worse than worst picture, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I wanted to mention Gordon Willis doesn't like this movie because no one does. But also he said he hated directing and he was true to his word. He never did it again because he in his words he didn't want to take any more phone calls from actors at 2 a.m. saying I don't know what I'm doing.
Call him he's saying he's fine with it. Just call him a different time. But no, Talia's like, I gotta call you at 2 in the morning. It's my routine, bro.
I gotta call it 2 a.m. What about a sun, Rock? What about a sun? That's my Talia Shire impression. Speaking of Talia Shire, she lost the worst actress award to a movie we haven't talked about yet. Uh, and yeah, she was good in this
Should have been
movie.
nominated.
She's a good
She actually
actress.
she played a she actually played a non Talia Shire's a talented actress. That's disrespectful to her.
And speaking of talented actresses, although I guess it's a little more controversial, Elizabeth Ashley lost Worst Supporting Actress, who was also nominated for Worst Supporting Actress at the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, which we'll talk about in a second, I guess. Um, Easily the only really truly controversial character in the entire movie, but I still thought she was better than most stuff.
Some of the way she delivers some of the lines are weird, and like the ending. So I could see why she would be prime target for Razzie noms. Uh, if you had to nominate an actor actress that's the worst in this movie, I guess I'd say her. But it's basically a three-person movie, so it's not that big of an insult, I guess. Hey, I probably would. I don't know. I just don't think this movie should be nominated for any Razzies because it was actually enjoyable. But so
Yeah, and I think playing a person with mental illness is the most thankless role in Hollywood. And then finally, Barry Siegel is nominated for worst screenplay. He lost Can't Stop the Music, which I mean, compared to that, there's no contest, but obviously much better screenplay. I did think that the plot, like we talked about, was the weakest part and could have used some fixing up. So I'm not the biggest fan of his screenplay. Probably not Razzie worthy, but not really great either. I'm open to a Razzie for him, honestly.
it is original screenplay with, I think, an interesting starting premise that I think works for most of the movie. So I give Barry Steele credit. So I definitely don't think he deserves to be nominated.
It's kind of weird he didn't write again because well, I guess this movie bombed miserably, but still, good writer. Uh, See, briefly give a brief summary in your score for the movie, I guess.
Solid thriller, um, with the victim and the knight in shining armor are likable. Uh, there's there's weirdness to it, but it's pretty good, especially for a Raz movie. So I'll give it a 7.
Sure. Uh, I'm getting a more upward curve. I think mainly because of the acting performances, especially Mr. Cortese or whatever his name is for the Bob and Talia Shire, all the actors, but really great nuanced acting. I would love to do this scene in an acting class or have someone else do it because it's very good acting. Gordon Willis, great cinematography. Uh, yeah, this movie just really connected to me, especially when I first watched it. I feel like it only weakened in analysis and trying to break down the plot and stuff. So I'll upward curve it. Personal 9 out of 10. Not saying it deserves that in comparison to whatever great movies are in that range, but I loved it a lot. So yeah,
Just want to say real quick, I just said in my review was uh Morricone score not very memorable, and at times I was writing my notes that I actually thought it was kind of bad.
Yeah, I wonder what he had to work with in terms of a budget and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of the recording and stuff. I don't know. Yeah. All right. One more trivia break. Uh, in the Stakeout movie franchise of comedy films, which presumably involves looking into people's house windows, Emilio Estevez is cop partnered with what Academy Award winning actor who seems to insist he's funny? Does a lot of comedy films that are not that well received.
Oh, I thought you were making reference to Joe Pesci because of you think I'm funny like a clown.
No, no, no. It's just he's literally not funny.
Joe Piscopo, I don't know.
Richard Dreyfuss, you're you're full of shit. And
So
then
there's multiple these stakeout movies.
there's two of them.
Yeah,
The second one they hang out with Rosie O'Donnell. And then last trivia question: What stupid phrasing? Whatever. What patron saint about of movies about spying on women through a window stars a murderous camera operator and is directed by Michael Powell?
Peeping Tom.
You ever seen that movie?
No, but I saw Scream 4, which
Okay.
yes, horror trivia, and Peeping Tom is the first slasher movie according to Ghostface.
Timmy Tom is literally maybe the greatest movie ever made. It's really close. It's really good. Yeah.
Alan Pressburger are very brilliant.
All right. Time for the show where Marcus gets the next movie.
Hold on, I have trivia for you.
Okay.
Well, it's more of a memory thing, but which classic movie do Bob and Emily watch together?
Is that in the fair to remember?
Now Voyager.
Wow. So I was thinking because the Empire State Building in it, if I remember, but that's interesting.
Yep, they don't really talk about it. It's a young Betty Davis movie. And the second most famous thing that Paul Henry's known for, I think.
Aside from singing the Marseillaise and the cafe.
Obviously, yes, Casablanca.
All right. Time to guess. Time for everyone's favorite segment of the show where Marcus tries to guess the next movie. This is actually a good movie in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, but it's weird enough that we're going to talk about it on the show. Okay. First clue stars Nancy Allen, Michael Caine, and Angie Dickinson.
Who's the first person?
Nancy Allen.
I'm just gonna take a guess at this because it's a terrible movie with Michael Caine in it. Jaws: The Revenge.
That'll be much later in the 80s. And no. Okay. Second clue. It's a neo noir erotic psychological thriller from writer director Brian De Palma.
Isn't every Brian De Palma movie in the
Yeah, that's why I didn't just get the genre and the clue. But yes, Brian De Palma. Yes,
I'm just gonna say every Brian De Palma movie is a
Scarface isn't.
psychological sexual thriller.
Carlito's Way isn't.
Untouchables, yeah. I was kidding. Very
Gonna guess.
expressive De Palma. No, hot hot stuff coming through.
You're on the right track. Final clue. It's a clothing themed three-word phrase, which roughly means she looks so good in her clothes that her design is to immediately get a man's attention.
Dressed to Kill or something.
It is Dressed to Kill. And it's on Tubi because it's got boobs in it. Yay!
More like booby, am I right? Hey,
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Write that down. Uh, so briefly before we go off the air, uh, kind of, I don't know. I feel weird because the Razzies are obviously the most famous bad movie awards, but that stinkers bad movies thing keeps starting to come up more in my research. Do you think it's worth it to a go back and do the two ceremonies before the Razzies, or B possibly incorporate both movies into every year of bad moviedom forever?
Maybe we need to continue this conversation offline because my thinking is that uh, to save us from getting stuck in 1980 as long as we already are. Why don't we just do the Razzies and then fill in the blanks of movies that we missed in the bad stinkers afterwards?
But it'd still be like do 1980 and then do more 1980 with the stinkers.
I was suggesting do all the Razzies and then filling in the gaps what we missed with the stinkers.
Well, that's fine. But what about the 78 one? Not do that, or like go back now, or just wait till we done with 80 first, or
My vote is doing all the Razzies and then going back to 1978 to do the bad stinkers and then only doing bad stinkers 1980. And then when we get to 1980, moving forward with the bad stinkers, only movies that we didn't review before.
no, I agree with that. I wouldn't want to review a movie twice. The only issue with the bad stinkers, I think I'm just going to ignore. It could be an off air discussion, I guess, but because you go like a bad stinkers year, like 1980, they'll give you the top five, like kind of like what the Razzies does, and they'll go like honorable mentions and be like 30 movies that came out in 1980. I think that's way too much, especially because a lot of them aren't that bad. So I think I'll just do like the main top five awards, and we can have, like discuss on air at some point the other films briefly or something.
Maybe other films too. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess in general, you kind of need to like manage because Razzies kind of pick movies that are like have a bad reputation, and stinkers are people who like actual quote unquote film critics who are like, this movie sucked, and it's like, for example, Popeye is a very divisive bad movie because it's Robert Altman. I know it's a weird movie, but I don't know. I don't know. Like it's just it's more good movies in the bad stinkers than there are on the Razzies. But yeah, yeah. So I guess we'll just have to judge on a case by case basis because I don't want to review a movie that's good. Yeah. All right. And we'll talk about Dress to Kill next week on Twin Bill. Bye. Book me on your shows or let's be best friends and hang out maybe. I don't know.